They put a helicopter engine in a race car. VisionBeast tells the story. When you think of race cars, you picture powerful, high-revving engines, sleek designs, and cutting-edge technology. But in the world of motorsport, there are a few machines that defy conventional thinking. Cars that break all the rules, challenge engineering norms, and leave an indelible mark on the sport. One of those machines was the 1968 Howmet TX, a car powered not by the typical internal combustion engine that defines nearly every race car you know, but by something completely unexpected. A turbine engine, the kind found in helicopters, a jet engine in a race car. At first, the idea seemed absurd. How could a turbine engine, designed for aircraft, possibly work in a car? How could it compete with the internal combustion engines that dominated racing for decades? But against all odds, the Howmet TX didn't just compete, it won. It achieved what no other turbine-powered car had ever done before, and for a brief but unforgettable moment, changed the trajectory of motorsport history. In this episode of Rare Cars, we are about to dive deep into the story of the 1968 Howmet TX. This is not just another documentary about a car. This is the tale of an extraordinary innovation, a groundbreaking design, and a brief, stunning moment in racing history that we'll never forget. The visionary beginning. The story of the Howmet TX begins in a place far removed from the world of race cars. The Howmet Corporation was not a traditional automaker. In fact, they weren't even in the car business at all. Howmet was an aerospace and industrial company known for producing advanced alloys and turbine engines used in military helicopters. In the 1960s, the aerospace industry was rapidly evolving. Helicopters, jets, and rockets were getting faster, more powerful, and more efficient. Meanwhile, in the world of racing, car manufacturers were experimenting with radical new designs, trying to push the limits of speed and performance. The era of innovation in motorsports was in full swing, and Howmet saw an opportunity to make its mark. It wasn't long before Howmet engineers began thinking, what if the technology powering these high-performance helicopters could also power a race car? They envisioned a car that would take the precision of aerospace engineering and apply it to the most extreme environment on Earth, the racetrack. Howmet's partnership with Ray Heppenstall, a renowned race car builder, marked the beginning of what would become one of the most radical projects in racing history. Together, they set out to build a race car unlike anything anyone had ever seen before. The Howmet TX would feature a turbine engine designed for aircraft but adapted for a car. They wanted to prove that turbine engines could not only be used in helicopters and jets, but could also be just as effective in a race car, perhaps even superior. The turbine engine, power from the skies. The turbine engine that would power the Howmet TX was the Continental TS325-1, a gas turbine originally designed for military helicopters. But this wasn't just any ordinary engine. Turbine engines are quite different from the piston engines that dominate the automotive world. Instead of using a series of pistons to generate power, turbines work by rotating a shaft at high speeds, which in turn drives the wheels. One of the main advantages of a turbine engine is its simplicity. Turbines have far fewer moving parts than a traditional piston engine. This results in lower friction, smoother acceleration, and potentially higher reliability. It's also lighter for the amount of power it could generate, making it an intriguing choice for a race car that needed to balance power with weight. But with this innovation came a whole new set of challenges. For one, the throttle response on a turbine engine isn't instantaneous. Unlike a piston engine, which can quickly adjust to throttle changes, a turbine needs time to spool up and respond. This lag was a huge challenge for drivers, especially in a race setting where every millisecond matters. The engine also generated an enormous amount of heat, which presented an entirely new set of engineering problems. Cooling the turbine without damaging it, or the car itself, required a custom cooling system that could handle the immense heat generated by the turbine's operation. And perhaps most importantly, there was the issue of braking. Turbine engines don't provide the same kind of engine braking that a traditional piston engine does. This meant that the Howmet TX's brakes had to do all the work of slowing the car down, which put tremendous strain on the braking system. Despite these challenges, the promise of turbine power was undeniable. It was faster, smoother, and lighter than traditional engines. If it could be made to work, it could change everything. The radical design. The Howmet TX wasn't just a car with a turbine engine. Its design was a break from convention in almost every way. Ray Heppenstall and the Howmet engineers crafted a chassis that was unlike anything else on the track. There was no traditional clutch or gearbox. The car relied on a unique power delivery system that didn't require constant gear shifts. This radical design made the Howmet TX easier to drive in some ways, with smoother acceleration and fewer mechanical parts that could fail. But it also created a whole new set of driving challenges. The car's power delivery was different from anything drivers were used to, and the throttle lag meant that acceleration wasn't as immediate as with a conventional race car. The lack of a traditional gearbox was also a double-edged sword. While it removed the need for shifting gears, it meant that the car had no engine braking. This made braking harder and more crucial than ever before. Every driver who got behind the wheel of the Howmet TX had to completely rethink how they approached driving. But despite the challenges, the car's design was undeniably futuristic. The Howmet TX looked more like a spaceship than a race car. Its aerodynamic, low-slung body and sweeping curves were designed to slice through the air with minimal resistance. It looked fast just standing still, from vision to track. The first race, the Howmet TX made its debut in the 1968 racing season, competing in the SCCA and IMSA events. The world watched as the turbine-powered car took to the track, unsure of what to expect. Would it fail miserably, like so many radical concepts before it? Or would it actually work? At first, the car struggled. The throttle lag, the braking issues, and the overwhelming heat all contributed to a series of early setbacks. But the Howmet TX was not about giving up. It was about perseverance. The team pushed forward, tweaking the car, adjusting the systems, and learning from every race. Then came the breakthrough. At the heart of Dixie Race, the Howmet TX finished an impressive second. But it wasn't until the Marlboro 300 that the world truly took notice. In one of the most stunning performances in motorsport history, the Howmet TX won the race, defeating a field of conventional, piston-powered race cars. It was the first and only time in history that a turbine-powered car won a race against piston-powered competitors. The car had proven its potential, and the Howmet TX had cemented its place in racing history. The fall and the legacy. The Howmet TX's success was short-lived. Regulatory changes and mechanical challenges ultimately sidelined the turbine-powered car. New rules restricted the use of turbine engines in racing, and with limited funding, the team was unable to continue development. The Howmet TX was retired from active competition, but its impact didn't disappear. The Howmet TX remains a symbol of what happens when innovation meets bold ambition. It showed the world what was possible when you dared to break the mold and think outside the box. Today, the Howmet TX is a preserved classic, still running at vintage events, still powered by the same turbine engine that took it to victory. It's a testament to the brilliance of its creators and the legacy of a car that changed everything. The 1968 Howmet TX is more than just a car. It's a symbol of innovation, of daring to dream big and challenge the limits of what's possible. While its time in the spotlight was brief, its impact on the world of motorsport is undeniable. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of one of the most radical race cars ever built. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to subscribe to Rare Cars for more deep dives into the world's most fascinating, forgotten, and groundbreaking vehicles. there's much more to come. This documentary is designed to give a deep, immersive experience into the Howmet TX story, weaving technical details, historical context, and emotional weight into the narrative.